They're just temporary forms. According to a situation, use it. So, my name, my Buddhist name, is Hyun Gak Snim. It's just a form. It's just a technique. It's just a tool. It's arbitrary. It has no reality. But if I was Fred, if you came to we're going to have a talk today from Fred, the Zen monk. Some of you would be like, oh yeah? We're spending our last day in Korea going to hear a talk from someone named Fred? But you hear, we're going to have a talk today from Hyun Gak Snim, Venerable Hyun Gak Snim. Then, let's check this out. It's just a technique. It's like Coca-Cola, the real thing. I love that. Coca-Cola, the real thing. So you think of it a little bit better. Then you want to buy it. It's just technique. If you're attached to the technique can control you. If you're not attached to the technique, you just use it freely. It's not special. Okay? Any other questions? Yeah, one more. Then I think we need to break at some point. Yeah.
So you talked a lot about all the bad that's in the world, and I don't doubt that there's a lot of bad things that happen because people think or whatever. But what about all the good that's out there? I mean, there's a lot of good things that have happened because people think. So, I mean, we're never going to come up with a cure for cancer without people who are thinking and coming up with it. There's a lot of capitalism today has created a lot of good in the world, technological advancements, probably because people were looking at what they're doing from the thought of greed and wanting to create something that they can make money from. But a lot of these things have come to advance society and help the world. So,
that's true.
So what do you think about things like that?
So, like I said, I didn't say that the thinking is bad. It's how you use it. It's like this clock. This clock is not good, not bad. I can use it one way. Yeah, that's one use, yeah. Or it's 2:45. This is a very important point. Thinking itself is not good, not bad. It's like a knife. It's not good, not bad. How you use it. I'll give you another example of this. Is answering your question. There was a monk once asked this when Christianity, the teachings of Christianity started to come into the East here. People were hearing about this teaching of there being a heaven and a hell. So some monk in China once asked to a Zen master, said, we hear that there's this heaven, and some people talk about a heaven and a hell. Is there such thing as heaven and hell? To the Zen master? And the Zen master said, yes, of course. And the monk was very shocked, this Zen monk. Really? There's a heaven and a hell? What are they like? The Zen master said, in hell, there's many, many, many beings in hell. And in front of them, they're sitting in front of this long table without end. And it's piled with the most delicious foods. Most delicious. Most incredibly delicious foods. And when you take a bite of one of the foods, it's replaced immediately. But the problem with the people in hell is their arms are formed like chopsticks. Their arms are, so they can't bend. So they have all this delicious food, but they can't eat it. That's hell. Very interesting, yeah? Then the monk said, wow, that sounds horrible. And he said, yeah. Then the young monk said, then what's this heaven place like? And the Zen master said, heaven's very interesting. Heaven is like a long table, endlessly long table, filled with all sorts of food. Most delicious food in the world. When you eat one of these pieces of food, ding, another one appears in its place. Just like in hell. Most delicious food. Only problem with the people in heaven is there's all this delicious food. They're all sitting on either side of the table. But the problem is their arms are formed like chopsticks. So they can't bend their arm. They can't bend their arms. But they feed each other. That's heaven. So do you see my point? Thinking itself is not good, not bad. There's no judgment against thinking here. How you use it. So as you said, used well can help many, many, many people. Used well. But based on the illusory notion of I, an I which is separate from you, the belief that I and you are different somehow, separate, that giving me the chance to be a lot better than you. Then this thinking usually brings suffering. Almost always. That's why my parents can't understand why we do such good things in the world, our country. We're always helping people. Why don't people like us nowadays? Because the thinking, my parents' generation, not just my parents' generation, like that. But if this thinking is not attached to its I, if it's only wishing to help people, only, then it does amazing things. It's just like that. Very simple. Okay? So thinking is not good, not bad. But without self-knowledge, and this is Socratic, it's not even Buddhist, but Buddhism is exactly this teaching anyway. If it's not attached to itself, if it's based on self-knowledge, then this thinking helps many people. If it's not based on self-knowledge, self-awareness, it's just thinking, the animal of thinking, unrestrained thinking, then even the best thinking can bring down this whole world. Okay? Okay. So, everyone, I understand you're on a tight schedule today. One more question. Sure, anything. Yeah. So it's interesting, just to give, while we're waiting for another question, just a couple years ago, you know, these Buddhas, the Bamiyan Buddhas in Afghanistan, these huge, colossal Buddhas carved into the mountainside. When the Taliban blew them up, remember? You're all aware of that. What was the retribution from the Buddhist community? Who was killed as a result of that? Who was beheaded, imprisoned, blown up, shot, beaten, sued, or vilified because of that? Where was the counterstroke? You didn't see any. There never has been in Buddhist history. Even one time. Don't believe me? Google it. Go ahead. Google it. Find out a war in the history of Buddhism that was done in the Buddha's name. Find one. And I'll give you this building. Because it does operate out of this fundamental, that for the right hand to strike the left hand, it's still the same body. It operates out of that that your nature and my nature, it is the same nature. We don't just talk the talk. If I can give a little advertisement here. This is ad time. We're in commercial time now. It doesn't just talk the talk. Historical proof shows it walks the walk. Because that awareness, that fundamental awareness is incontrovertible, whatever you believe. And history has proven it. Very interesting. Very interesting. But don't believe me, Google it. But in some traditions, if you draw that thought, you can die the next day. So, having insight into the nature of what Buddhism calls no self, no separate self. Proven how? How do I prove that yourself and myself are not separate? without any preparation. We both experience the same thing. That's the same nature. Buddhism operates from that awareness. It's not a belief. It's not a dogma. It's an awareness. It's an experience. And it comes most directly through meditation. It can't be taught by a book or by me. Okay? One more question. Yes. Oh, this is a double for you. Yeah. Second question's very expensive. You're a business student. You understand.
If anyone else has one, then go
for it.
Okay. Have you experienced, like, how has your family handled your changing, like, you're going from devout Catholic to that to Buddhist monk, and also, especially in the beginning, have you felt uncomfortable, like, when you started out being an American and just basically very different?
I've never felt different. Never felt different. I felt more the same. Yeah, outward circumstances, but everyone's like that. Nothing special, nothing any more than you might as a Jewish student or whatever. Would be from a Catholic student or an Islamic student or a painter from a musician. Technicalities, circumstances were different, but nothing really different. So in the beginning, my family certainly had an adjustment to go through a little bit there. High expectations, son, Ivy League education, going to the mountains, cutting his hair, doing 90-day retreats where there's no phone calls, no mail, no TV, waking up at 3 a.m. But that's like anything. No pain, no gain, I guess. But after practicing, deeper relationship than ever before. Deeper and closer relationship than ever before. Because before, the relationship was based on thinking. How much am I earning enough? Do I have enough good job? Am I fulfilling what they expect me to do this? My brother's like this. Well, I got to get like this. Well, this will expect my value system is like this. Now it's outside that. It's just based on our connection, which isn't based on thinking. It's not Buddhist or Christian. There's no difference between us in any way whatsoever. We're close. I'm closer to them than I ever was, and probably closer than I could ever be, because it's just the same. When they're happy, I'm happy. When they're sad, I'm sad. Same. It's just like this. All of us having the same experience. Really. It's not theory. You can actually experience it. You are experiencing it. It's so stupid. But what's even more stupid is the Iraq War, which was created by thinking. And human beings not aware